Good evening, everybody. So thank you for coming into Live Life the Fullest.tv to hear us. Especially we have our special guest speaker, Andrew Song. He is an expert in this DISC, leadership and
parenting
aspect, where DISC can be used to improve relationship. And today it's really our privilege, in fact my privilege, all right, to have Andrew Song here with me. Now I am Roland Ang. I'm today your host. So with this, we let us all welcome Andrew Song. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Roland. Thanks for having me this evening. It's a privilege to be here.
That's right. Oh, it's really our privilege too.
Yes.
All right. And we want to take this opportunity to hear him out. And then we'll see how much we have absorbed from him, how much we have learned from him. And then from there, right, we can have a Q&A session. So we also hope that through Live Life the Fullest.tv is something that you can raise the awareness about your life. And in this case, if you are a parent, and then you have some issues with your children, and you have no idea why. Right. Why my son is this way? Why my daughter is that way? And maybe today Andrew will able to give us an insight what could be the reason. And for all you know, it's just a tweak of knowledge and a tweak of understanding your child in a different way. And that's all you need. And with that, right, you can transform your relationship with your child. So I think with that, let us again welcome Andrew Song.
Thank you.
Or maybe I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself a bit.
Yeah, just something very simple. I'm actually I'm the executive director with the John Maxwell team here in Singapore, and also a certified speaker, trainer, and coach. And I specialize in this DISC personality profiling for corporate as well as for parenting. And we recently launched this parenting program for children between 8 to 12 to 14. And it's very useful in the sense that it can help parenting to a different level, whereby we minimize on these stress points in the family. It's very important because now a lot of people are working from home. And if they're at home 24/7, they're going to have a lot of stress at home.
Talking about this,
yes,
I haven't heard from principals that children are facing so much violence at home.
All right.
These violence are actually, between their parents, but somehow they have been affected.
Yes.
And they're so disillusioned. It's like, I've never seen my parents like that.
Yeah.
And somehow they also been implicated.
Correct.
That unfortunately, some children actually was even contemplating suicide.
Yeah.
It was that bad. And I think this pandemic, this COVID-19 and the circuit breaker really opened cans of worms within the families.
Exactly.
It's just like during our normal days before the COVID-19.
Yes.
Even if I have an issue with you, I'll go and work. I'll just get on with my life.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
And if I come back, maybe I come back home late.
Yep.
And then quickly I wash up, have my dinner, I go to bed. And then till the next day, I wake up, then I'll go to work.
Yep.
And that's sort of a way to minimize problems. But the COVID-19 and the circuit breaker really changed the whole family dynamic. And you're right, they have to face each other 24/7.
Correct.
I think that is where really their own personal issue just cannot be contained anymore.
Correct.
And it just exploded.
Exactly.
And from that affect the children. And I suppose even the children also suffer because of that.
Exactly. Psychologically, they'll be affected. Emotionally, they'll be affected. I've also heard cases where the parents lose it and abuse the child. Unfortunately. And everything happens because they are stressed. It's a totally different environment. The home is not catered to be an office. And now we're talking about, if you have two children and they're in schooling age, right, they have to do homeschool learning, right? And all of them are cramped on a single table, 4 persons on a PC, trying to do what they have to do previously when they were doing from the office. And it's just different. It's just different. Like you're living with someone that you've not lived with for a long time. And you're right. The parent goes to work 8 hours or in the office, goes for dinner outside or whatever. But by the time that he comes back or she comes back, the child may be in bed. And the next morning she leaves for school early in the morning. The parents don't see the child.
That's right.
The maid takes care of everything. But now it's different. The child is at home. When the parent wakes up, the child is there. So all these are little things that add on to the stress.
That's right.
And then it manifested. It gets manifested.
So now this is the question. Are these situations avoidable? All right. And if they are avoidable, then actually what were the cause? And then if we understand the cause, then maybe all this can be addressed. And all this tension and conflict can be avoidable.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to pose tough questions,
Okay.
all right, on Andrew. And let's see what he can share with us.
Yeah.
With that, let us see our first question.
All right.
All right. Okay. So what are the common relationship problems that parents face with their children? I mean, we mentioned about the COVID-19.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But to me, that is a trigger.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a trigger. So what is really the common relationship problem that actually parents and children they face together?
The one biggest is communication. The one biggest problem is communication. And the parents and the child don't communicate on the same level. And this is not something that happened overnight. It has been over the years. And once you have communication or miscommunication between each person, problems start. In other words, I make certain assumptions of your behavior and vice versa. And because of that adds stress, and then the child becomes defiant to a point sometimes they just don't want to listen to the parents. They never enjoyed communicating with the parents because it's always top down. The parents is always either scolding them, nagging them, etc. And you and I, we don't like to have negativity to us all the time, right? We are working, if our bosses were like that, why would I want to work in this company? But the child doesn't have a choice because of the parent. And the parent is doing these things, and the child somehow psychologically reacts, okay? Especially sometimes the parent's concentration in Singapore is study. Sit here for an hour and study. But I'm going to help you understand later on that some children can sit for a whole hour, some children cannot. Why? Because they have different personality behaviors. And if you can identify how your child is wired behaviorally, you then be able to understand and maximize the way that they do things and the way you want them to do things by using certain phrases.
No, you use the word personality.
Yes.
I know that today the topic is really understanding your child personality,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that will be part of this parenting wisdom.
Yes.
But again, what is personality?
Okay. Personality is developed in three parts. One is the genetic, how the child is born, the genetic makeup of the child. The other one is the influence from the parents, from the guardian, as the child is growing up. Okay, the child will absorb certain things, certain teachings, etc. And the other one will be the environment. The environment the child is in, the school, the friends, etc. Right? I give you a simple analogy. A child coming into the world is just like your mobile phone, out from the box. It has no application at all. You start adding applications to the phone and it becomes the way you want it to be. Same as the child. The child has no apps when it first came out. The parents start to introduce the application. If it's positive, the child grows up to be a positive person. But however, if you keep putting negativity on the child, similarly, the child will become a very negative person. And if you don't neutralize that when they are young, between the ages of 0 to 7 or 1 to 7, that sticks in their subconscious and they will carry that into adulthood. And which is why today a lot of our adults have issues like that, like low self-esteem, fear, anger, unable to be successful in anything they do. Because when they were young, the parents could have told them, you're useless, you're hopeless, why can't you study? Why can't you be like a brother? Why can't you be like a cousin? And these things stick in the subconscious. And so the child believes it, that I am not good enough, and grows up with it.
So you're saying that this personality develop actually partly is due to nature
Nature, yes, genetics.
and then of course nurture,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And whichever is the case, nature or nurture,
Yes.
how does it so-called, or how does their personality affects them? In what way? In what way it affects them?
Okay, so we are all different. You and I are different. Everybody's different. However, we are predictably different. So if we grow up genetically and we are nurtured, it forms a certain behavioral style, a certain communication style. However, if we can pinpoint and understand that particular child's behavioral style, we are then able to tailor our words in terms of communication to suit and speak to the child's personality language.
I see.
Right now, what's happening is that the parents are speaking to the child using maybe one size fits all. So they have 2 or 3 children, right? The first one they bring up this way, and so happen that the child is maybe an obedient child, made up of the DIC type that is very compliant. So they said, wow, good. So the second one comes up, the third one comes up, and they use the same. But then, hey, what happened? My second child is very defiant, although I use the same method. And the third one is again different. What's going on? I don't know what's going on, right? So here I am to help you understand why each child is different and you must handle the child in a different manner. Not one size fits all.
So you're saying that the personality somehow
Yes.
will affect the way they behave,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The way they think
Yes.
and the way they make decisions and do things.
Yes.
Right?
The way they communicate.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that the parents, through their own past experience
Yes.
from their own parents,
Correct.
they thought that this is the method of parenting.
Exactly.
And they use only this particular method
Yes.
that they received it and then they impart it
Yes.
to their children.
Correct.
The unfortunate thing is that even every children,
Yep.
though come from the same mother or same
Yep.
mother and father,
Yes.
they're actually all different.
They are different.
All right.
Yes,
and
they
that's
are
the
different.
unfortunate thing.
That's the reality.
Correct.
That's the reality.
Okay, good. And you did mention something about DISC.
Yes.
So I think this is something that later on we will go in depth a little.
Yep.
All right. So, okay, good. So basically, these are some of the relationship problems. Huh?
Correct.
Okay, so good. Let's us go to the next one. Now, why having problem in parenting is bound to happen to every parent?
Like I just earlier explained, like you just said, they only know when they first become young parents what and how they were brought up by their parents. Some would have attended courses to say how to be a better parent, but ultimately they will still take on the persona of the father and the mother as they are bringing up their child, and that will come across to the children. The other thing would be, like I said, one size fits all. The one size fits all myth that if I did it with my first one, it worked, the second, third will be the same. That's where the error starts happening, right? And that's the reason why they start having these little problems. And it's all due to communication. How do they communicate with the child things that they want the child to do?
Okay.
And when you know the DIC makeup of the child, you will use the different phrases based on the different DIC to encourage the child to do things. And you will find it so easy to do it. You don't even have to nag the child. That's the beauty of it, yeah.
Okay. So like I've sort of summarized beforehand, right?
Yep, you did.
Before that generally it's really using the methodology that
Correct.
is really not suitable for that particular child.
That's right.
Because every child really have a different makeup,
Correct.
and there's no way that method.
Yeah.
Now, even if you pick this up from a parenting workshop,
Yep,
and no matter how effective it is,
correct.
right, sometimes it can backfire.
Exactly.
Right, it can
Exactly,
backfire.
yes.
It just won't work.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
You may even get the steps right. Step 1, step 2, step
Yep,
3, step
yep,
4.
yep.
In fact, that particular set of steps is exactly what it will not work with the child.
Some childs it will, some
That's
childs
right.
it won't.
We'll
Yes.
get
We're not
to
saying
that.
it will not work at all.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it might work 25%.
Yep.
Because that particular method will likely work with one group of
Yes. One group. Yes.
right, correct.
Yep.
So so I think this is something that we need to be aware of.
Yep.
In terms of like, oh yeah, so in other words, it will not just only happen to you. Sometimes as a parent, you may say, why this only happened to me?
Yeah.
You know, why my friend? Why that friend, this friend?
Yeah.
Well, their child all seems to be, you know, very well behaved,
Exactly.
but just not my child.
Yep.
Actually, it's not true. I think it happens to every
child,
parent.
yes.
Every parent.
Yep.
Right. Okay, very good.
Yep.
So let's see what we have next. Now, so why parents have difficulty communicating with their child?
Okay, the Asian style of communications is a lot of to do with top down. And in leadership, there are basically 5 levels of leadership, but in parenting, there's usually 4. The first level, which is the lowest of all levels, is what we call positional leadership. In other words, because you are the father, you're the mother, you use your rank and you tell the children or the child what to do. It's just like in the army, right? My way or no way. And they tend to use that in Asia. And the favorite sporting brand in all Asians' parents is Nike. Because the slogan is,
Just do it.
exactly, just do it. And the favorite finger that they like to use is the index finger. Right? Just do it. Or else I will.
Oh.
So because that way, the child feels the negativity all the time. Okay, they're young, they don't have a choice because you are the giant and they look up to you and they have nowhere else to turn to except the parent. And if the parent keep using this method of positional leadership, because parents are leaders in the family, right? If they keep using this, what happens is that the child will keep absorbing this negativity. They don't have a choice to retaliate because they're too young. But one fine day, they will. When they start becoming a teenager, when they start becoming an 18-year-old, the wings are starting to spread. They will not want to be with their parents anymore. And a lot of parents wonder, what's wrong with you? Why don't you have dinner with us? Why don't you have lunch with us? And they forget that it is all because of the initial sowing of the wrong seed. It sprouts a different tree, gives you a different fruit. So they need to understand that the 4 levels, they must move up the levels. Now, from being positional, they must move up to the next level, which is what we call permission level. They must be able to allow the child to give them permission to lead them. In other words, form relationships with the child. And then subsequently move up to what we call, the child will look at the father as, you're a production person, you have achieved, I want to be like you, Dad. You're a doctor, I want to be like you. So they move up from position to permission to production, and finally to people development. So the father and the mother must be look at the child as, okay, I'm bringing you through a journey, and eventually I want to develop you into a better person. So I cannot just keep there all the time. Even if you're a teenager, I'm still using positional leadership. It will not work. And that's the reason why we're having all these communication issues today. They're not communicating on the same level. The child grows up and they are different. The parent must be able to bring themselves down to the level of the child and communicate with the child at their level, not at the parent's level. Right? And I'll share with you a story. When I was a young father, I did the same. I could never teach my son for more than 10 minutes. Mathematics especially. I would get so agitated. Why can't you understand a simple problem sum? Primary school. But I failed to understand that to my son, that is a very difficult problem sum. Because at that age of maybe 7 or 8. But looking from the eyes of an adult, it's so simple. So I was coming and teaching him from the eyes of an adult and not coming to his level and say, son, let me bring myself to 7, 8-year-old. Let me look at the problem from your angle. Then I'll understand, oh, I see, that's why you're finding it difficult. So because when I'm coming down from the top, to me it's so simple, I get frustrated because he cannot understand it because I'm trying to make him me, which is totally wrong. So as a result, I get frustrated, I get stressed, I walk out of the room. And the poor boy never had a chance to learn. Ended up getting scolding.
I can see that actually there's a double problem.
Yep.
Firstly, because we know that every child already has a different personality.
Correct.
In other words, the way they communicate,
Exactly.
the way that they understand you,
Exactly.
the way that they they do things.
Exactly.
They are all different.
Yep.
And now with the age gap,
Yep.
and one that is trying to
Yep.
do or achieve, well, the other actually have a very, very high expectation
Exactly.
that I almost require you to just do it.
Exactly.
And what's so difficult? What's so difficult?
Exactly. What's so difficult? Yes.
And I think because of that expectation and that personality and that age gap, it actually doubles the
He adds.
doubles the difficulty.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
in trying to get that point across.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And I can understand because I'm also a father. I'm a father of two.
How old are your kids?
How my kids are? I have one 8 and one 3.
Okay, good age. Good age to know now, so that you can hear.
That's right. That's right. And I was a teacher.
Yep.
I've been dealing with
Sure.
student teenagers.
Sure.
Now, despite of that, despite understanding that I don't want to be having a top-down kind of approach,
Yes.
but sometimes it just gets on your nerves, and you just in the end resort to that.
Yeah.
And but you know that you have already damaged
Yeah.
the relationship.
Correct.
And many times we just have to reflect upon it, and then from there we say that, have I not come down to his or her level
Yes.
to see what we can't see, but actually they are they're
Exactly.
seeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Wow. So we haven't even gone halfway.
We haven't even got, not even we're just at the tip of the iceberg actually.
But I thought this is important to really set the context of what we are going into.
Sure.